Good morning, everyone. This is Inka Deku here in Colorado, hosting our monthly diabetes self-management education and support sharing call. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I see 5 people are on the WebEx. Be sure to call in the conference line to hear the webinar. And so we'll get started. It's 8:32, and so to be mindful of time, we'd like to end these calls right at 9 o'clock. So welcome. This is session 9 in the business plan guide for diabetes self-management education, and we're wrapping up the business guide today, and we're going to be talking about the clinical plan. So Meredith Koob, who normally hosts these calls with me, unfortunately wasn't able to join the 8:30 call. So it's just me, so bear with me as I do the slide presentation and capturing notes and facilitating the conversation. So I'm Inka Deku. I'm here at the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, and I oversee the Diabetes Self-Management Education and Support Program work through a CDC-funded grant. One of the reasons why we host these calls is because of the low prevalence of diabetes education amongst Coloradans affected by diabetes. And so the primary purpose of these calls is to partner with you all to discuss barriers to DSMES utilization, share successes, and identify tools that may be helpful in increasing DSME utilization. And so the call is intended for ADA recognized or AADE accredited program staff, or staff that are interested in starting a program, but all are welcome to stay on the call, but the content is delivered to those with an accredited or recognized program. So we have been going since July. We have been diving into the DSME business plan. This is not a requirement to be recognized or accredited, but we felt by reviewing this one section at a time, it would inform your accreditation and recognition, as well as really just trying to capture all aspects of your program, because you are running a business. And so we felt just by breaking the sections apart and doing a small section each month, it would be a little bit more manageable to actually write a business plan guide. So like I mentioned, we are nearing the end of the business plan. Does everyone have access to the business plan or have seen it or read it for some of the new people on the call today?
I have seen it.
Great.
Yes.
So just some housekeeping rules. We are recording this call and the WebEx because what I do is I send out monthly, follow-up monthly meeting notes, capturing both calls because we host an 8:30 call and a noon call. I have not sent out the February one. If anyone is wondering, I will be sending out those call notes by the end of the week. Unfortunately, the WebEx recording was broken, and so we finally had that fixed, and so I got that, and so I will be sending out those in the next couple of days. Don't place your line on hold, otherwise we'll hear some nice hold music. So just please mute yourself by selecting *6 and also *6 to unmute yourself. When speaking, just please state your name. Really encourage in-depth sharing, so step up or step back. If you're more comfortable using the chat feature on the WebEx on the right-hand side, feel free to chat us questions or comments. All right, we like these WebEx events to be interactive, and so we like to know where you're all located and who you are. So on the far left-hand side of the screen, you'll see an arrow pointer. Left-click that, and then drag the arrow to the location where you're at on the map. Anyone else need help with that feature, or you can let me know and I can write your name, where you're located.
This is Kim. I'm not getting it to work. I'm in Durango.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
I will put your name, Kim.
And this is Jamie in Cortez.
Cortez. Hi, Jamie.
I'm not getting it to work.
Okay. I'll write your name here. Both of you on the far left-hand corner of the map. I'm very excited to have you both on the call. So if we do have a few new people on the call, I would love to have everyone just go around and introduce yourself, what program, the organization you work for, and if you're ADA or AADE or interested in becoming a recognized program.
Hi, this is Kristen Baronsky in Mid-Valley Family Practice in DeSalle, Colorado, and we are interested in becoming a program.
Great. Excited to have you.
And this is Jamie in Cortez, Colorado. We are an AADE accredited program.
Welcome, Jamie.
This is Samantha Decker, and we're at Tri-County Health Department, and we're ADA recognized.
Hey, Sam.
Hello.
This is Jenny Bartles with MCPN in the Denver Metro, and we're exploring the possibility of becoming recognized.
Hi, Jenny. Welcome.
Thank you.
Lauren, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, this is Lauren Bernstein. I am over at St. Anthony Hospital in Lakewood, Colorado, and we are AADE certified.
Great. Welcome. Thank you. And then we have Kim in Durango.
Hi, this is Kim Ayers, and we are at Mercy in Durango, and we are ADA recognized.
Welcome. Did I get everyone? I think I did. I missed you. I'm sorry. I'm moving on. So the purpose of this call today is we've been doing when the new national standards came out for accredited and recognized programs, I just have been identifying one and aligning it with the objective of the call, just to kind of keep that in the forefront since they've changed. And starting May 1, ADA and AADE are going to have to be fully compliant with those new standards. As I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about the clinical plan, and so identifying evidence-based decision support tools that you all use and learning about them, and then having a facilitated conversation on the standards of medical care in diabetes. They release them every year, and so they just came out with the 2018 one, but they've been also doing a summary version, and so not having to read through the 175-page document, they have a nice 3-page summary of what has changed. Has everyone been able to access those standards? That summary page? If you click, should be a link. I can put it in the chat box, but I'll send that link out. In the email I sent you also the PDF. If you want to quickly pull that up as I advance to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we like to have this be an interactive WebEx event, and so we always do a polling question. And so I'm going to read the question and then the responses, and then on the right-hand side, the survey will pop up, and you'll select the best answer that fits your organization. So in your DSME program, what do you most often use for guidance on the most recent evidence-based diabetes care standards? Do you use the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Nutrition Practice Guidelines, the ADA Standards of Medical Care in Diabetes, the American Heart Association American College of Cardiology Task Force on Practice Guidelines, Obesity Society's Guideline for Overweight and Obesity, or the most current version, evidence-based DSME curriculum used, or other. And so, WebEx, thank you very much. As you see on your right-hand side, select the best answer and be sure to click submit. And so the poll will close in about 20 seconds. All right, the poll has closed, so it'll just be a few seconds for the results to show up. Okay, so it looks like 3 of you selected the ADA standards of medical care. 1 person selected the American Heart Association, and I think a few folks didn't answer, but I think maybe responded on the screen, or if you want to verbalize your answer, let me know. But we're going to circle back to this in 1 second. So as I mentioned, we've been referencing the 2017 National Standards for Diabetes Health Management Education Support. Is everyone familiar with the new 10 standards?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Yep. Great. Has it been helpful just adding these reminders in our sharing calls?
It has. Thank you.
So I focused on Standard 6 today. I thought it aligned nicely with the clinical plan, since one of the responses is using an evidence-based curriculum for your accredited or recognized program. And so you're required to have a curriculum reflecting current evidence and practice guidelines with criteria for evaluating outcomes will serve as the framework for the provision of DSMES. The needs of the individual participant will determine which elements of the curriculum are required. And so I think it just dovetails really nicely with this standard. One question I have for you all, because we're wrapping up the DSMES business plan guide, is there anything that these calls can help or provide you with on ensuring that you're meeting these standards? Anything that comes to mind that we can support you with? It could also just be a question that you can ponder and just email Meredith and I as we start to think through the next series of calls, topics that we want to do. Be sure to put yourself off mute if you did answer, if you did say something. So I'm going to move along, but feel free to let Meredith and I know if there's anything we could do to support you in meeting those new standards. I know that ADA and AAD have some great tools and some great technical assistance, so we could provide something as well if needed. Okay, so moving on to quickly back to the polling results. These were some of the suggested evidence-based decision support tools listed in the DSME Business Plan Guide. And so I just wanted to go through each one of these really quickly and find out from you all why you used the one that you selected. So it doesn't look like anyone selected the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. This one is an internet-based diet manual and professional practice manual. And it's giving you access to evidence and knowledge-based nutrition information. It is geared more towards RDs, but it really, because most often registered dietitians will have access to the nutrition care manual, but it's a nice tool for all professionals working in diabetes. Is anyone familiar with the
This is Lauren. I definitely reference the nutrition care manual a ton. It's not my go-to for the standards, but I use it a lot.
What do you like? Can you name one that you like about it for diabetes that you could share?
Well, I find that, like, if we're talking about the handouts that are on it, I find that they're very clinical, so they're good for the clinical setting. I like my handouts in the outpatient setting to be a little bit more fun. So, I mean, it's good for reference, handouts aside, for just, like, you know, like practice guidelines if you can't remember something.
Okay. Thank you. Since we'll be talking about the ADA standards of medical care on the next slide, I'm just going to skip over this one, if you don't mind. So when I selected the American Heart Association one, I'd love to hear why you selected that one. I was reviewing it the last couple of days and just really interested as why this was one of the evidence-based tools.
This is Kristen, and we basically selected it because that's what our physician likes to use.
Oh, great.
So,
any particular any highlights that you want to point out that you really like for diabetes?
nothing that I can pinpoint at this moment. It's just a good reference tool. But I agree with the last gal that a lot of it is still very clinical, and it's not necessarily as useful as a tool to share
for your participants, patients.
Yeah, for patients. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. We all know about. I'm going to skip over the evidence-based DSME curriculum, and then I just wanted to touch on the last one. The Obesity Society guideline for overweight and obesity. Does anyone know about these recommendations before I speak to it?
No.
And so this, I was reviewing this the last couple of days, and it's a nice summary of evidence-based recommendations, and they have a really nice treatment algorithm for overweight and obese, kind of like a walkthrough figure of what to do with a patient with a BMI greater than 25, whether it be overweight or obese. And so I think the most current version was 2013, but it's the same organization that put out the American Heart Association, American College of Cardiology Task Force. It's a sub-task force group of that bigger group. So it's very interesting. So moving on to the next. Any questions about this? Anything else? Anything anyone else would like to add?
This is Jamie Cortez. To look a little closer, we actually use the evidence-based DSME curriculum from AADE, and for our program, and I have used their book called Diabetes Education Curriculum, second edition for our curriculum updates. And so I do frequently use AADE resources.
Great. You said AADE or ADA? I'm sorry, Jamie.
AADE. This is Lauren. I also use AADE sources as well.
Anyone use ADA? The ADA curriculum?
Yeah, this is Kim in Durango. We use ADA curriculum here.
Yeah, and I briefly just went over skipped through that because I should never assume, but that people often use what is the recommended one from AADE or ADA. Some sites do decide to build their own DSME curriculum, so that is an option in case as some of you didn't know that, you don't have to use their curriculum. You just submit the curriculum to them, and then they can approve it if that's something of interest, that if you ever wanted to build your own curriculum. So just looking at time, moving on to the next part of our facilitated conversation, we had asked in the February call for everyone to review the summary page and to identify one new standard that one change that they read in the summary that resonated with your program, that you dove further into the bigger document. So would anyone like to share kind of what they learned in the summary? If you're on mute, just sort of unmute yourself.
This is Jenny. I'm kind of curious about for Section 4, lifestyle management, if people are using like a technology-based platform, or just kind of what people have done with that, or if anyone has kind of looked at that.
Did you have something in mind, Jenny? Like, can you give me an example of a technology-based platform? Like,
well, I was wondering, we were kind of looking a little bit, or we're just exploring right now, when different options that we can use. Just for example, possibly using FaceTime or something for seeing patients like in their home, or if there's any, just alternative ways of seeing patients. We're just looking at that a little bit. Yeah, kind of a telehealth.
Can anyone speak to that?
This is Kristen. We have implemented telehealth, but we're struggling with getting it used, struggling with both patients and providers to initiate or be interested in using it.
For both providers and patients?
Yes.
Have you done a survey of folks?
It's funny, everybody says they would be interested and then they're not.
Gotcha. I know that there's going to be a webinar coming out from HRSA in the upcoming months, a regional webinar on using telehealth for DSMES. I've been trying to get a little bit more information on that.
Oh.
And so I will dig a little bit deeper to get that information and share with you all, because telehealth is something we're exploring as well here at the health department. We're a cancer, cardiovascular, pulmonary disease grants program. Our new grantees that are doing diabetes and cardiovascular work, we have a few of them that are doing telehealth as part of their grant work. I'm going to call it SAM at Tri-County. And so I'm sure in the next 6 months to a year, we'll have a little bit more information on telehealth for diabetes. So stay tuned on that. But this is a great, it is something that we need to think more of, especially those remote areas. I can share one really quickly that I really was excited about with Section 9 in the summary, the cardiovascular disease and risk management, that a new recommendation was added that all hypertensive patients with diabetes should monitor their blood pressure at home. So that one really intrigued me, because I work closely with our cardiovascular team and our home blood pressure monitoring program. And so I'm starting to think through some strategies of aligning some of DSMES with that work. Does anyone have any home blood pressure monitoring programs at their facilities, at their clinics?
Yeah, this is Sam with Tri-County, and with our current funding, we do have a home blood pressure monitoring program.
And that was one of the ones that kind of intrigued me because to see how we could incorporate that moving forward a little bit stronger into our DSME program.
Do you do any cross referrals between your DSMES and your home blood pressure monitoring?
Yeah, when they come in, they're kind of screened for all three of the programs to see which ones they would qualify for. Yeah, absolutely.
Is anyone else interested in that information?
This is Jamie from Cortez. I would be definitely interested.
In learning more about how to implement a home blood pressure monitoring program?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I would be interested too. This is Lauren Bernstein.
Oh, great. Perfect.
Yeah, this is Kristen, definitely.
All right. Well, I'm glad I brought that one up because we do work very closely with our the diabetes and cardiovascular unit. So I have colleagues that are doing that work and would love to maybe do a presentation in the upcoming months as a topic idea and how we do that here at the health department. So thank you for that. So we are running out of time. We have about 2 minutes to wrap things up. We do have a noon call as well, and so some ideas captured from that call I will put all in one section for the call notes to hear what other people were saying about the 2018 summary. But if you haven't had a chance to review that, I recommend just quickly scanning it. I was pretty impressed with some of the new additions. And I went and printed the 175-page document since I'm not too familiar with the whole document. So I'm going to be learning a lot more about this diabetes recommendations for future calls. So I just wanted to, we have our next call on April 18th. It's 2 days before the conference. We are still going to host the call because we're going to use this time to wrap up the business plan guide. We've spent 10 months on it now, and I think it's time that we wrap that up, kind of see where people are at. If people started revising theirs, developed new ones, lessons learned from it. But from the last 10 months, Meredith and I really have been able to pull new topic ideas to really dive into further. So we're really excited about that. We were going to cover the continuous quality improvement plan, but because that's going to be a topic at the conference on April 20th, presented by Marianne Hododowicz, we decided that rather than be duplicative in information, that we will not cover that and let Marianne cover that more extensively in the hour and 15 minutes that she has for that topic. With that said, I want to remind everyone, space is starting to fill up. I have 25 registrants, and we can have about 50. So if you have not registered for the free diabetes conference on April 20th, please go register for that event ASAP. We are offering mileage, travel, and lodging reimbursement for those traveling over 70 miles. And so that's another perk. Plus, we're going to be offering 7 CEs for this event. And so if you're an RD, diabetes certified educator, pharmacist, RN, it's a great way to get 7 free CEs. So we're really excited about this conference. The agenda is up on the website if you're interested in knowing specifically what we're going to be talking about. It's a full jam-packed a day, but I think very worth your time. Again, we always have the same resources available for you if you need any resources on diabetes in Colorado. Thank you so much. On the right-hand side, you'll see a short survey come up. Please take a few seconds just to fill out this survey for feedback on how these calls are helping you and your organization and what we can do to improve. And as always, you have our contact information. You can call, email us at any time. This is what Meredith and I do. We're here to support you in your diabetes work. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.